Okay, folks, good afternoon. Ebola, coronavirus, we in a mess, folks. But as they say, the show must go on. And I'm going to be conducting class this way, providing you with some information that will help us keep it moving. And so, if you've been following along, and hopefully you have, I don't want to emphasize what you already know. School's closed, not sure when it's going to be open again. But as I said, we have to continue to demonstrate that we are learning. And as you will soon find out, most of the learning takes place outside of the classroom. That said, we're talking about social structures and social interactions. And we began talking about this the last time we met. And among the things that we said, among the first things that we talked about was microsociology and macrosociology. You guys seem to already have demonstrated an understanding of those terms and the applications of things. But what the chapter emphasizes for us is the importance of the macro components that we experience in our lives or interact with in our lives, and how these influence our interpretation of things on the individual level or on a micro level, on a small level. And when you think about what social structures are, according to the material in the chapter and other scholars, they generally suggest that social structures are patterns of interactions between one generation or that endure from one generation to the next. And the elements that create social structure generally include, cultures, groups, social class, social status, social roles, stigma, and it also includes institutions. An important part of social structures is that they have some variations depending on the complexity or the stages that society is in. Um, Hopefully, you guys have begun to take a look at the chapter. But one of the things that you'll notice is that societies vary during different periods of time. I was going to say different historical periods of the different historical periods. Let's just put it that way. For example, the more complex a society is, you have a great deal more social structures, varying roles, and social statuses. For example, back to the point about societies changing over time, you'll note that we have had hunter and gathering types of societies. We've had agricultural societies, industrial societies, post industrial societies, and now you could say that we're living in a more technological society with the advent of artificial intelligence and things of that nature, the computers and such. So the different types of societies that we talk about, they all share something in common or have some commonalities. And the commonalities are relating to social institutions. Social institutions, as we said, are structures that provide for society, members of the society, ways or patterns in which they interact with each other or pattern relationships. And so the dominant social institution within our society, and with all societies, include things like family, they include the educational system, our religious systems, our economic systems, our political systems, our military system, or our military apparatus, the media. All these things are part of the institutions that are important in all societies. Among the things that the chapter also talks about is this idea of solidarity. Now, solidarity suggests how close, and I think this was first brought up when we began to talk about suicide in chapter one, when there was some suggestion that all aspects of social life can be studied, even suicide, and that the reasons or the motivations related to suicide depend primarily upon the extent to which people feel a part of or not a part of, solidarity with, or or do not have solidarity with uh, other members or the society in of itself. Some terms that you'll hear over and over again in sociological discussions include notions like Gemeinschaft, which is a German term in terms of solidarity. It suggests a connections more on a kind of personal level, more intimate, generally friendships and kinship ties such as family. These are more evident or more apparent in suburban, rural type communities where people are more personal, friendlier than we might find in other situations. Those other situations, the German term used for that is Gesellschaft. Gesellschaft making reference to uh, society, wherein the social connections or the relationships that people have with each other are more formal and impersonal. And I've been hinting at this type of relationship primarily because we are living in this kind of environment. Even though we may live in close proximity of each other, we don't know each other. We're right next to each other, but no one knows each other. And so these are some of the things that, some of the ideas that are going to come up in this particular chapter. Note that among the things that are in the news today is this coronavirus. And among the things that they are talking about in order to prevent the spread of the coronavirus is the maintenance of social space, personal space. The chapter talks about personal space and the distance that, or the closeness that one allows another person to be to them suggests uh, a varying degree of intimacy. For example, if you're really close and personal, you will get physically close and personal with another person. And so the chapter provides a nice discussion about that, giving us some kind of example about personal space, which is unseen, but it is a very common micro structure in the society. And right now you can see the relevancy of it as we have conversations about how to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. So there's intimate distance, personal distance, social distance, public distance. All these things are part of personal space. Read the chapter, you get a better idea about what that might be about. The other thing that's talked about in the chapter, which we hinted at leading up to this discussion, particularly when we're talking about culture and the other things we were talking about, was Goffman's idea of dramaturgy. This is Goffman's theory that suggests that the way we interact with each other suggests that we are indeed acting. We're acting, we're playing a role as, for example, mother. Some are mothers, some are fathers, some are sisters, some are brothers, student, teacher, learner. These are varying roles that we play as we move about in the society and interact with each other. The situation dictates the role that we play. As a result of the varying roles that we play, there can be role conflict, role strain. We I wish we could have had more time to kind of demonstrate, what that may be about or how that is played out. But for example, suppose you are a person in the household, you get called by your mother, you get called by your intimate partner, and then you get called by the son or the daughter or your child. Who are you going to respond to in that moment? Well, at that time, we can assume that there is uh, um, some strain or some role conflict. The conflict will result from being at that point simultaneously a son or a daughter, a husband and a wife, or a wife and a parent. Conflict, in terms of how you might respond in that situation. The book gives a better explanation, more of an explanation regarding that. But the point is that we are social actors, and every situation dictates, how we are going to act. And the other thing that we made mention of very briefly was that we have a public face, private face. You could say a role that we play on stage and a role that we might play backstage. So I just want to give us a kind of general indication about what the chapter is about. I'm encouraging you guys to read that. Of course, there are going to be some questions about that, and we're going to continue this discussion the next time I send you a video. These videos won't last forever. View them at the end of the week, which today is Tuesday. We'll provide you with some questions, brief questions to respond to suggest that you attended class this week. I need 100% compliance, and we're going to get through this and move on to the next stage in our lives. Stay safe. Above all, washy, and maintain that personal or maintain that social respectable distance. See you soon.